Call the meeting room to order. The Reno County Board of Zoning Appeals, the July 15 meeting. Staff call the roll.
Martin. Seltzer. Here. Macklin.
Here.
Buchanan.
Here.
Jorns.
Yes.
French.
Here.
And Gertson.
Here. Each of your packets were mailed to you. You had minutes from our May 20 meeting. Trust that you had a chance to review it. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor of approving the May 20 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. May 20 minutes are approved. To protect the rights of all parties involved in order to establish an orderly fact-finding procedure, the Reno County Board of Zoning Appeals follows a specific fact-finding procedure which is contained in the handouts in your chair. Your attention to this procedure is appreciated. All decisions by the BZA are final. Decisions may be appealed to the district court within 30 days of the decision. We would like to formally open the hearing regarding case number 2021-08, a request by Robert and Stacy Lynch for a special exception from the Reno County zoning regulations to bring an already constructed 40 by 60 residential accessory building into compliance with the zoning regulations. The total square footage of all accessory buildings exceeds the 2,000 square foot maximum permitted on land zone R-1, rural residential district. The property is located approximately 1,600 feet east of the intersection of 4th Avenue and North Obie Road at 5115 East 4th Avenue. Have any of the board members had any outside contacts regarding this case?
No.
Do any board members have any conflict of interest with this case?
No.
Would the applicant please step forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you've got 10 minutes to present your case. We might ask some questions when you're done, so just hang tight. We have Robert Lynch. I'm the applicant. Presentation is going to be pretty cut and dry and basic. I mean, it's a already constructed 40 by 60 building on the property. My wife and I wanted to put a building up to house our boat, camper, vehicles in, that kind of thing. Just basically use it for personal storage. Also have a place to work in out of the weather if I have a vehicle breakdown, maintain my vehicles, do oil changes, things like that, change the battery in the inside of the building when it's -20 outside instead of on the driveway like I've been doing for almost 20 years. We've had that property for about 20 years. So a couple of other accessory buildings around the property are far enough away from the house. We wanted something closer to the house too, so that's the reason for putting it so close to the house by the residents. The basic gist of it is it's just a building for personal storage and being out of the weather and working on something. Don't have any business plans or anything crazy like that. So. Are there any questions from?
Is there a reason you didn't get authorization prior to building it?
I honestly didn't look into it. I didn't do my due diligence. What it boils down to. I was thinking, being out in the county, you don't have to worry about a building permit like you do in the city. So we got crazy and put it up, and then Mark contacted us via certified mail. So.
Did I read correctly, you're partially constructed or you've already completed?
It's completed.
It's completed. I saw something somewhere in a case.
Yeah, so when the appraiser was out to look or notified everybody.
The contractors ought to know better than to do this, so we run into this periodically, try to keep the contractors informed, but for some reason that gets ahead of them once in a while, but they ought to know better than to go about doing this. Do you have any utilities to the building? Will there be electricity in it and water or?
There won't be any water or anything. We're going to run.
No wastewater coming out or anything
No.
like that? So I assume you'll have electricity and it's all underground and getting to the building?
Yeah. So that'd be the plan, just to have electric going to it. No water, no wastewater discharge, nothing.
You gotta wash that boat when you get back from.
Yeah, actually somebody mentioned Cheney. I was at Cheney a couple weekends ago and got the boat cleaned up pretty nice, so.
it's ready to go for next time.
Thank you.
I have a curiosity question, and this isn't directed to you, but I've often wondered, how do people who live in Reno County know that you're supposed to get a permit to do certain things? And I guess you didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I didn't do my due diligence. I didn't research it, didn't look into it. I just thought, out in the county, you kind of do what we want to do.
Did you build this yourself, or did you have a contractor?
I had a contractor build it, yeah.
So he apparently wasn't aware of that need.
Yeah, that, or they were so busy they overlooked it, or
Yeah,
whatever,
okay.
I'm not sure.
Right.
We started cutting checks to people, they kind of just get things done and leave.
The local contractors ought to know better than.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. If I had it explained to me, I definitely understand it, I get it, I contacted Mark, fairly quickly after the information showed up in mail too, so.
So I guess,
It wasn't due to avoidance, it was just, I didn't.
yeah, and I think Mark's report to us implies that you were extremely cooperative after you understood the rules. But that's why it's a curiosity question. I wonder who else should know that doesn't know.
Yeah, but it'd be some good information to get to the public that's out in the county. I mean, there's not a noise ordinance out there, there's not a leash law out there. If you have dogs or, horses, whatever, things can kind of run rampant out in the county. It's not like you're in the city limits and things aren't governed inside the city limit, or out in the county like they're in the city limits. So maybe people think that it's easy to just dismiss what would be common practice inside the city limits. And
I think Mr. George makes a good point, and that is a quality contractor should have told you, you're gonna need a permit to do this.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I'll also being the landowner, though, I have to take responsibility for it. I mean, I can't rely on somebody else to tell me what is or isn't appropriate, so I would actually accept the majority of that blame too,
I
so.
appreciate that statement. That's
Very hard. The county is zoned or has these regulations, so it's confusing
yeah.
as to where a building permit is required and where it's not. So, I understand the confusion. But about all of the eastern third of the county requires a building permit.
I've come to discover that kind of the hard way.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Can you repeat that, George, what you just said about the eastern third of the county?
I'm sorry?
The eastern third of the county has to have a permit?
If you look at the zoning map, looks like it's kind of an odd shape. You have to forgive me, I don't know what shape to call it other than it is roughly the eastern third of the county. It's kind of an L shape that reaches up into the northwest corner of the county and goes down towards Cheney Reservoir.
It's a zoned area, you don't necessarily need a building permit, but, depending
Is it a water
on,
problem? Is it a vicinity problem? Why is it zoned that way?
Good question. I'm gonna defer to the board members that might have a little.
I'm the
bit more
old guy on here. That's just the way it happened. When originally zoning came into effect probably in the 80s, somewhere back there, Mark.
Yeah.
City of Hutchinson did a 3-mile around city. When Cheney Lake was put in, the Corps of Engineers pretty much demanded a 3-mile around Cheney Lake area, and that left us with these two globs. So it's decided little by little, certain pieces have been added into that over the years. We just did a little triangle down in east of Cheney Lake, a little portion of the county that was east of Cheney Lake, but outside of the 3-mile. We just added that in because of confusion, similar to this.
Some townships.
Some townships requested about 20 years ago, a couple of townships, Medora area and Bueller area, if they're requested to be included into the zoned area, and we put them in. So it's really kind of been done by request, and the county commissioners, whoever they were, and they turn over frequently, whoever they were, have never seen fit to do the whole county. They just kind of added a piece here and a piece there, kind of by request.
Okay, thank you.
There was more economic growth in progress and more growth kind of in the eastern third of the county than there is in the western half or western two-thirds. And it's just, anything west of about the Fairview, Pleasant View area out there has just never been included into the zoned area. It's a political football.
You know, yeah. There was a lot of trashy stuff going on back then. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we had some unseemly development out in the Sandhills back in the 80s going on. And that was part of the reason, and some of that area was included later on, but it was too late. Some of that stuff was already poorly designed. We're just trying to keep road access available and setbacks appropriate so the fire and emergency vehicles can get around to find somebody who may have decided to build a house in the Sandhills out east or somewhere up to the north. And we're just trying to keep our setbacks so that the county doesn't have to go back and buy some more right-of-way some point 20 years from now when they decide to widen the road, and maybe the stuff has already been built in the too close to the right-of-way. And
Thank you very much. I needed that.
Any other,
I needed it too, thank you. I needed it too, thank you.
any other questions for the applicant? Any other comments from the board?
Yes and no, depends on where you're at.
Clear from the staff? Thanks.
Mark Von Atching, County Planner. As you heard, Board, this is currently a zoning violation, and the owner is under orders to obtain a permit. But in order to obtain a permit due to the size of the building, we need to have a special exception and make a few comments. Ultimately, the property owner is responsible for obtaining the permit, as Mr. Limps, kind of indicated. The contractor that built the building, I've issued permits in the past to that contractor, so they should know that a permit is needed. But as I alluded to in my report, Mr. Lynch, contacted me right away, and he's been very, very good to work with, on obtaining the necessary approvals to get this building back into compliance. But right now, looking at the site plan that you have in your packet, the building does comply with the setback requirements. The parcel is bordered by a large agricultural field all around it, except on the north side of 4th Avenue, you have a bunch of residential properties here. The owner is requesting about 4,608 square feet of non-farm accessory buildings. There's some other buildings that are probably in there, but they'd be farm related, so we don't count those in the calculation of the total square footage of buildings out there. So, in reviewing the rest of my report here, I did not have any other comments from the public. No written comments, no verbal comments. You do see the comments from the health department on it. This is served by public water. There's a water line out there. It doesn't affect the wastewater system that is currently on the property. The building is about 150 feet south of 4th Avenue, and it's kind of located a little bit behind the house, so it's not really noticeable from traffic going, say, eastbound on 4th Avenue. You would see it going westbound, and that's kind of how the appraiser's office, I think, caught it and called me and asked me if I had a permit for that building. And of course, I said no, I did not have a permit after researching my records, and so that's kind of what started this process here. But other than that, I didn't have any other issues with that building or the location of it, so staff recommends approval of the request based off the 3 typical conditions that we do place on these special exceptions. And so with that, if the board had any questions for me, I'll conclude my comments.
Any questions for staff?
did you tell Mr. Lynch the building can stay, but the concrete's got to go?
I did not do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this case?
Yeah. What does he do? What is his job, Mr. Vince?
Please, come on up to the podium if you want to speak.
You have an actual question, or?
Oh, yeah, really?
Okay, if it's just inquisitive, not concerning this case, then
Well,
Just,
please
you know,
step up.
A future reference is what more I was going to.
We can address that once we get through this case.
Okay.
Does the applicant have anything to add?
Oh, no, I don't.
Good. Okay, staff,
I have no further comments.
board, any other comments? If not, the public hearing is closed. Any further discussion? If there isn't any further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move case number 2021-08, request by Robert and Stacy Lynch, requesting a special exception from Reno County zoning regulations to permit the total square footage of all accessory buildings on the parcel to exceed the 2,000 square foot limit in the R1 Rural Residential District at 5115 East 4th Avenue be approved, allowing a building 40 by 60 or 2,400 square feet in size at the location shown, with the application and subject to the conditions listed above based upon the reasons stated in the staff report and as heard at this public hearing.
Second the motion.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, staff call the roll.
Seltzer?
Yes.
Macklin?
Yes,
Buchanan?
Yes.
Jorns?
Yes.
French?
Yes.
And Gertson.
Yes. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you for.
Thanks for doing
Troublesome
it.
to
Oh, that's good educational experience. Appreciate everybody's time, so.
run into your contractor wife. Tell him, hey, in the future,
Yeah.
just for future reference.
Gotcha. Duly noted and fully understood.
Staff, do you have any other business to come before this board?
I don't have any other business.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So, second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor of adjourning the BZA, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, July 15, BZA has adjourned. Okay, we'll now open the July 15 Reno County Planning Commission meeting. Staff call the roll.
Martin? Seltzer? Here. Macklin?
here.
Buchanan?
Here.
Jorns?
Yes.
French?
Here.
And Gertson.
Here. And you all have received minutes for our June 17 meeting. Trust that you had a chance to review. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor of approving the June 17 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Minutes for June 17 are approved. To protect the rights of all parties involved and to give an opportunity for everyone to speak, the Reno County Planning Commission follows a specific procedure outlined in the handouts in your chairs. During the hearing, there will be an opportunity for comments from the applicant, the planning and zoning staff, and members of the audience. Members of the Planning Commission may ask questions or request additional information at any time. If the Planning Commission makes a recommendation after tonight's public hearing, the case will be presented to the county commissioners within approximately 2 weeks. Mark, do you have a date for that?
Yeah, we don't have a date quite yet for this
Gotcha.
case, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe 2 weeks or so.
Since they're meeting every 2 weeks, it'll
Right.
be on that rotation?
Yes.
Okay. Mark will notify the applicant of the date, and anyone else who is interested can contact Mark or the county commissions for the exact date. Regardless of whether or not the planning commission approves or disapproves the proposed conditional use permit, it is possible to file a protest regarding the decision. Please contact Mark for the process that must be used to file a protest. Old business, we have a case 2021-07, a request by T Real Estate LLC, applicant Midstate Materials LLC, Rich Eckert, for a conditional use permit to establish an aggregate storage yard on Land Zone Agricultural Land District. The property is located on the east side of North Wilson Road and approximately 1,200 feet south of the intersection of North Wilson Road and West Nickerson Boulevard. This was tabled from the June 17 meeting, so for us to discuss, we must take it off the board. I'll entertain a motion.
I would move that we take this case off the table for consideration.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Staff, you want to call the roll on that?
Seltzer,
Yes.
Macklin,
Yes,
Buchanan,
Yes.
Jorns,
Yes.
French,
Yes,
and Gertson.
Yes. Okay, case is open for our discussion. With the information that Mark has shared with me, the applicant is requested that this be continued till the August meeting, is that correct?
Yes, Board, if I may, late Monday night, I received an email from the applicant, and they are not prepared to discuss this case tonight. They're still looking at all of their options available to them and looking at a lot of the questions that were asked of the board last month. And so they respectfully requested that this board continue the public hearing and table this request to August 19th at 4:30 PM in this building right here. So I would request that the board honor their request and continue the public hearing to August 19th at 4:30 PM and table this. At that time, if they're ready to discuss it on August 19th, then we will still have the same procedures before. We'll take additional public comment, and we'll listen to the applicant, and we'll have a supplemental staff report available to this board, we hope, at that time. So,
we had some specific requests for information that we wanted, and they do have that list of
they
information.
do have that list, yes.
Okay.
Yep, they do have that list, and I believe that they are working on that. So I really do not have any other information other than, they do have that list of questions that the board, asked, and I believe they were taking notes at that time and also listening to the concerns of the citizens. And so, other than that, I don't really have any other information, from the applicant. So I would request that they just table this till August 19th.
Can I ask a question? Do we want to put the specific meeting date in there, or can the motion say till such a time that the new information has been given to you for review? What would be the correct way of stating that?
Their written request to me was to table this to the August planning commission meeting, so
we can be
I would
specific.
say, yeah, so I think we just be specific. The next planning commission meeting will be August 19th at 4:30 PM. We do not have a Board of Zoning Appeal meeting that month, and so the meeting will start at 4:30 PM, and this will be the first agenda item, if the board so chooses to do that.
Okay. Okay, is there any questions from the board?
Need a motion to.
The chair will entertain
Need
a
a motion to
motion.
continue.
Somebody over there should, I've already moved.
All right, I'll make a motion that we continue case number 2021-07, the request by T Real Estate for a conditional use permit to establish an aggregate storage yard on land zoned AG, Agricultural Land District, until the August 19th Planning Commission meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, staff call the roll.
Seltzer?
Yes.
Macklin?
yes.
Buchanan?
Yes.
Jorns?
Yes.
French?
Yes,
And Gertson.
Yes. Okay, case is continued till the August 19 meeting.
Thank you, folks, for coming in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to disappoint.
I tried to notify as many people as possible.
He's gonna talk with them.
Notification area, or can you do that?
We don't expand it, no, we just
Because I know
do.
all of us were from Nickerson Boulevard, and none of us got a letter. We were just wondering, one of the neighbors told us about what was
Yeah,
going
well-
on, or we didn't have any idea what's happening.
Statutorily, we're responsible and required to notify everybody within 1,000 feet of
You
that
can't- You
property.
can't expand that.
No, we don't expand that, unfortunately, so, sorry, folks, but yeah, if you have any questions, just call my office or something on that.
Do you have a web page that
Yeah.
we can go to? I
You
mean,
can just go to, yeah, you can go to renogov.org, just check the county's website, and then you can see the agendas. The agendas are usually posted on there approximately a week before the public hearing.
but you would have known that on Monday, so.
I wouldn't have known that on Monday, and it was legally tabled until this meeting, and so even if they did want to withdraw it or table it again, we had to still have it on our agenda to take that formal action.
I tried emailing your email address, and all my emails came back, can't deliver to this address. So, is there a problem on
Make
it?
sure you spelling my name right, make sure you
Yes.
put a period in between,
Yes.
okay.
It just said recipient can't receive this mail.
I haven't heard of anybody else not having an issue, but we can talk about it maybe a little bit later if you want, or call my office or stop in, we can look at it.
All right.
All right? Thank you.
Who can I square up with before takeoff?
Front desk.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Robert.
You want to visit with him?
No.
Okay. I just,
Well, I was just curious about what his occupation was. I can find that out.
all right.
Surprisingly, you didn't ask him that.
What's that?
And I'm surprised when you didn't ask him that.
Well, as long as his intentions are just for storage, it's not in our realm to discuss.
Storage. That sounds like what this other outfit is trying to do is just storage, and we're discussing it.
That's a different case, and we can't discuss that tonight.
I know.
Sorry. It'll come to light next
The
week.
county, the city, they make decisions that are not right.
We have yet to make a decision on it, so I don't
I'm
know.
talking another deal now. I'm still kind of upset about another thing.
Yep.
Can I make a personal meeting with you guys and find out just why you sold us down the river?
No, not for that, no. Let's go on to the next case.
Next case, or next item, sorry.
No, you guys are gonna be sorry.
No, our next item of business is discussion on the text amendment for Article 15-109 concerning the zoning regulations related to 2,000 square foot of maximum square footage of accessory buildings permitted in residentially zoned parcels. Staff, you shared with us some text amendments.
Yeah, sure, I'll give the board an update for those of you that were absent last month. We had a few additional changes from the first draft that the whole board saw. And this is in regard to the square footage of the shed. And so at the last meeting in June, I believe the board wanted to include some language in there on portable accessory buildings that are on skids that you can move around your property. So that language is included in subsection A, which deals with parcels that are 2 acres or less. And it's also included in the back page here for parcels of ground that are greater than 2 acres in size. So we included portable accessory buildings. The other big discussion item that we had was on lean-tos. The original proposal I brought forth to the board excluded counting of the lean-to on larger parcels and included lean-tos on the smaller parcels. And the discussion and conclusion of the board at that time was that we should just include the lean-tos on all the parcels. And so that language has also been amended. And then the last amendment that we did was a suggestion by Mr. Seltzer that we just say, instead of how I wrote it, just say that all parcels like greater than 2 acres in size. And so those were the basic little changes that we did with that. And so the way it reads right now is that if you have a parcel of ground that's 2 acres or less, then you're allowed 2,000 square feet, and that will include the lean-to, if you had a lean-to on your building. And then if you have a parcel of ground that is greater than 2 acres, then you're gonna have 5,000 square feet. and that will also include those lean-tos as well. Portable buildings will be included, and agricultural structures will be excluded from that calculation. So at this point, I'm open for other comments, questions, suggestions. If the board thinks that this is sufficient to go to a public hearing at this point, what I would do is take this to legal counsel for English checking, make sure that we're good on there, make sure we're good with legal on what we're wanting to do here, and then I'll bring back to the board a report in August about any suggestions that county councilor wants to make, and then if we're good with that, this board could make a motion to set a public hearing date for, say, September, and we'll see where it goes there. You still have opportunities now, you still have opportunities even at the public hearing to make changes to the document if you want at that point, but,
Have you taken, and I apologize for missing last meeting. Have you taken the temperature of the county commissioners, any informal discussion about this type of activity, and are they receptive to maybe some modifications of the 2,000-foot limit?
I have not spoken to any of the county commissioners on that. I will say, though, that they do receive the planning commission packet in their email, so if they did have a comment or a concern, I would hope that they would have expressed that to me, and I haven't had any contact with them regarding this subject whatsoever. So.
The other item that keeps running through the back of my mind, and it may be of no concern to anyone else but me, but a person could have a fairly large scale, an acreage lot, but he might have a pond on there that takes up a third of that acreage. So is that anything that needs to be considered, or does that concern anyone else but me and maybe not?
That's a possibility, yeah, but you're gonna have little situations like that all over the
He
place.
might have a 5-acre lot with a 2-acre pond, which means he's got a net 3 acres of building surface that he can build upon, so.
So we would just have to address it.
Maybe there's one instance of that in the whole county, I don't know, maybe
That
it's
would
not
probably
worth
come up
discussing.
when the septic and the well would be reviewed. That the open, like in your scenario, that would probably come to light saying, okay, they're wanting to put that building there, but they may not have enough room for any kind of other development, whether it be septic or well. It might come up in that review. Be my guess.
Good point.
What's our rationale for it's paragraph A2 requiring a deed or survey if it's under 2.5, if it's 2.5 acres, under 2.5 acres?
Sure, it's a good question, yeah, you missed that, we had a pretty lengthy discussion, no, that's all right, I kind of glossed over that, so I apologize. Yeah, the rationale at the time was, at the staff level, we were trying to discuss, where is my comfort level on the exact acreage that a person owns? You look at your deed, or you look at the website, and it may say that you own 2.03 acres, but that could include the road right-of-way. And so there's a gray area in there where the website's gonna say that you own 2.03 acres, but that's what you're paying taxes on. That doesn't include your road right-of-way. And so what we said here was to ensure that we know how much acreage a parcel is based off of that deed. We don't want to base it off of the website or anything like that, because those acreages aren't exact. We want to say, hey, give me a survey or give me the deed so I can calculate what your exact acreage is. And the 2.5 is quite honestly where I thought my comfort level would be in ensuring that somebody is definitely over two acres. Because, if you're at 2.01, well, are you under 2 acres where you're gonna have to do a special exception, or are you over 2 where you don't need to do that? So that's kind of where we fell with that. Does that make sense?
It's wiggle room.
Yeah, it's the wiggle room where,
Call it the
hey,
Mark Amendment.
where somebody can provide me that documentation, then I can calculate exactly how much acreage there, because usually I'll rely on our website to say, oh, okay, so if somebody has, 2.7 acres, I can be pretty assured that they're over 2 acres, give them a permit for their building. If it's like 1.98, 2.01, well, where are you? Are you under 2 or are you over 2? And so I felt like on 2.5, because I thought, well, there's a lot of parcels out there where, if you have a couple hundred feet of road frontage, that could be a couple of tenths of acres, and that can make all the difference in the world of getting a permit in 2 weeks versus going through a special exception. So,
I like it.
Good. I think I'm happy with the changes that have been made to it and the wording and whatnot. I'm very pleased with what we got here.
I think it's a giant step forward in having fewer cases in front
Well,
of
that
us.
was gonna be my next question. Mark, you've had a chance to ponder this thing this has been a couple months in the works. Does this feel like something that's gonna ease your workload?
yeah, I think it will.
Okay.
I mean, everything is,
It's hard to.
We wouldn't have had our hearing tonight.
we wouldn't have had this hearing tonight.
I get it, but I just wanna make sure that, if we're writing words, just the right words, that's one thing, but if we're truly making a change to where it's gonna ease your pain, then
I think-
I'm all for it.
From that little chart that he put together,
Yeah.
a couple months ago, it showed the number of cases we've heard and the size of the accessory buildings. It eliminated a whole bunch of those.
Yeah,
So-
don't construe my question as wondering why we're doing it. I'm all for it. The way it's written is
I'm amazed at the
on it.
number of people who are building 40 by 60-foot
Yes.
buildings just for personal use, not commercial, I need to build a machine shed out on the farm, and I can afford a 40 by 60-foot
Well,
building.
let alone put a boat in a camper.
To put 3 combines and 7 tractors in, I don't think I can afford that, and people are buying it to put their motorcycle in, or their camper, or their boat, that's a chunk of money when you pour concrete for that kind of a size of a building, plus the building.
I would say I would loosen it even a little more, but I know there's not support for that, so I'll buy this.
Okay. Do you have a comment, Lisa?
I feel like it's not just your time, but it's our time, and it's the people who are applicants, and we haven't really seen much of anything in the last 4 or 5 years that indicated what needed to be where we have it now, let
Yes.
alone stricter, so.
They could add 2 or 3 months to an individual project
Yes.
time by the
Yeah.
time they,
Yep.
get through the process,
Well, I found, like I said in the staff report, I found this in May, and here it's July. The building's already built, but still, we're delaying projects. I think this regulation does 2 things. I think it lessens our load, like Lisa said, I think. You guys have approved 42 of these right now, and I'm not saying that they're good decisions, bad decisions, but yeah, we've approved 42 of them here, and I think, they were all very well thought out, and you guys took it seriously. But I think more importantly, what this regulation proposal does is it makes things more black and white for me and for the applicant. Right now, that regulation is really kind of fuzzy and gray, talking about accessory structures that are farm-related. There's nothing in our regulations that says that you do or you do not count a farm structure as far as the total acreage. Now this puts it in black and white that if this such and such building here is gonna be used to store your tractor, your combine, or hay for your horses, now we exclude that. And so that's what helps me more than anything, is to be able to tell an applicant, hey, if this is an ag structure, it's gonna be exempt and not included. So that's what one of my goals was. And we've got a lot of little situations like that, I think, in the regulations that we need to tackle to help make it more black and white for everybody.
Question, is our definition of ag structure sufficient?
Yes.
I don't know what it is,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm just asking, I know you do.
Yeah, it is, and, it defers to the state statute that, defines that. I mean, they don't really define agriculture, but they just say that land and buildings that are used for agricultural purposes shall be exempt from the zoning regulations. And so I just kind of carried that forward in these types of cases, like, well, if you got this big structure here, then it's exempt from from the zoning regulations, therefore it's exempt from the calculation, and it needs to be in writing more, so.
You take them at their word.
Yeah.
This is based on an honest
Yes,
landowner,
yeah, it is, yeah. So,
which is a good assumption.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so,
Until we get turned the other way, right?
so I'll,
I'm not gonna bash farmers in front of this group.
so what I'll do is then I will give it Joe and have him look at this, and then, first off, I'll make everything black, so everything is good. And then all the changes that Joe has, I'll put in red again, so you can kind of see what those changes are. I doubt that I will have a perfect document here, you know, Joe's pretty good at that kind of stuff.
Only 2 pages long, Mark.
I don't have it in
It'll
there.
be 6 by the time Joe's done.
I don't have it. I am getting pretty good with writing county resolutions, though. I'll have to admit. You know, he doesn't have any changes hardly in those anymore. But yeah, there might be some slight language changes, but then I'll bring those back to the board, and then if you guys are comfortable, we can set a public hearing date. And I think if we do that in August, I think I could still squeeze it in for the September hearing. And then, like I say, there's still more opportunity to make changes. We'll listen to public comment. If we have any at that point, we'll put this on the website, the final document that you guys approve. And we'll take it from there. And then hopefully sometime in October, we could get this adopted, and then we'll be good. Then I can move on to manufactured homes and some other amendments as time allows.
From looking at the amount of public comment we get on these 40 by 60 sheds, I bet we don't get much comment at a public hearing.
Probably not.
Or no.
Probably not, but I don't.
Well, we welcome.
You never
any
know.
comments we get.
So,
Do we have any routine where we send information out to contractors in the area on a periodic basis to remind them of the regulations?
we don't, yeah, we don't. I mean, that's something, yeah, that I'd like to do, but yeah, I just,
Well, once we get this passed, you'll have more time to do stuff like that.
hopefully, there you go. Exactly, yeah, we can do some public relations stuff, you know, like I just to inform them.
I'm sure, you know, this guy got caught, but I'm sure there's a lot of it that goes on
Yep.
that we never know about,
Yep, there is.
you know.
Yep, there is, definitely, so. Very good, well, appreciate your work on this and your review.
Is there any other business before the board?
I don't have any other business.
Board members have any discussion points?
I have a question for off the record after we're adjourned.
I have one too.
Well, first I have to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded that we adjourn this session of the planning commission. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign.